my younger nephew has never seen Star Wars before, so I'm wanting to introduce him to him, but I'm not really sure what viewing order to do. And that's so important for a child's development.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
Binger, go in chronological order of 1, 2, 3, all the way up to the currents. Just binge them all in one night. Just force him. You know. How old is he?
It's 5.
Oh well, that's probably not a good idea.
No.
Maybe the prequels. Start with the prequels. Actually, now I think about it, if we go with the prequels, kids are gonna enjoy that a lot more. I feel like that's what George Lucas was. He's too focused on this is for the kids kind of thing. So maybe if he gets that out of the way while he's young, he won't still think, these are good films. I remember my ex, we were at one of the geek shops, and she picks up Phantom Menace and was like, "Oh, this is my favorite Star Wars." And I was like, "Shh, put that down."
Is that why you broke up?
Yes.
That seems like a right there in the store breakup right there.
I was terrified for my life.
Yeah.
Like everybody was like, which Star Wars? And I was like, Empire Strikes Back. Because everybody, if they knew that she said Phantom Menace was her favorite, oh God, I was ready to leave her right then and there. But I got her out. I got her home safe, and I was like, listen, it's over.
It's
She
not
was
gonna work
like,
out.
what? I was like, your favorite Star Wars is Phantom Menace. And she said that's the only one she's seen, but I was like, nah. Doesn't work.
Oh,
Doesn't work for me. Doesn't work.
Some people. What an unfortunate soul. So where do we land on viewing order?
Binger?
And so let my
Like
5-year-old...
How about me and you? We'll binge it, and then he'll be there, and he'll do his own thing. And
I'm not sure if I want you hanging out with my 5-year-old nephew.
probably not a good idea. Yeah, probably not. Maybe Phantom Menace it has good moments. It has great moments. Jar Jar is just... God. It was a while since I had seen a Phantom Menace. It was back in 2015 when I watched it again. And I was like, everybody's exaggerating over Jar Jar, but no, they weren't. God, it really made that movie really hard to watch.
It's horrible to look at. Literally, it's hard to watch because he looks so terrible.
It was a tough movie.
And it hurts the ears as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's what he sounds like. And you're just like, dude, chill out. And then Liam Neeson's like the best thing about the movie. Besides, best Jedi about the movie. My opinion.
And he gets stabbed.
Cry every time. Cry.
Manly tears.
So we can watch that one. I mean, I'm sorry. You guys can watch that one.
There's no we here.
2 doesn't exist. We just get rid of that.
What makes you say that?
I don't like sand. Of course.
But it's got clones and...
Show them the battle scene. Just skip through, go through all the battle scenes.
Okay, just like if there was like sex scenes or something, they're just as horrible for a child.
I mean, you might want to show him those. He's got to learn at some point.
Oh, yeah, I definitely don't want you hanging out with my 5-year-old nephew.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, but so pretty much like watch the first 30 minutes and then just skip to the big scenes.
And then just go to the ending. And he'll be like, "Oh, that was a short one." Yeah, it was, buddy.
There's no scenes in the middle. It just goes from
he won't know
him being on Kamino to now they're fighting monsters.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Might want to hold off on 3. So it could be pretty dark for a 5-year-old.
What about Rogue One? Where do I put that in there?
I'm sorry, what?
Rogue One, Star Wars story.
That was a Star Wars movie?
Yeah, it had Darth Vader in it.
Did it? Huh. Action. I can't believe Rogue One was a Star Wars movie. That hurts. I did not like that movie.
I can understand that. It's really those are the ones Disney is just kind of making a product of. They did a bunch of reshoots on Rogue One without the original director,
Really?
and then Solo, they just straight up fired the directors and replaced them because they weren't doing what they wanted. But then they let Ryan Johnson do just whatever he wanted with Last Jedi. It's really strange. You would think that the Star Wars stories would be a place to expand and explore, and they're just so safe. It is weird.
Well, it's right. It's racist.
That's racist.
It's completely racist.
How?
Well, one you said Rain Johnson, right? Is that his Rain? Because he's Rain.
I'm not really
You
sure.
got the Rain guy. He's Rain, and then you got the other guys. They're humans. I thought we were all Stardust. We're all made from the same material. Sure, yeah.
I mean,
That's
they're all
right.
just white guys. So
Oh,
they're
oh,
all,
he's not actually Rain.
no.
Huh.
It's just, I mean, it's spelled Rian.
Who'd they get for the Solo movie?
It was originally Chris Miller and Phil Lord, but then they replaced him with Ron Howard, all white guys.
All white guys.
All of them.
All white.
Gareth Edwards on Rogue One, white guy. J.J. Abrams, white guy.
Huh. Well, that's definitely racist. They're all. We gotta get some diversity in there. Jeez. So Ron Howard, Happy Days guy.
Yeah.
Huh.
And little kid from Andy Griffith's show. Directing Star Wars. He's all grown up now. He also directed Da Vinci Code. Not sure if that's relevant, but
That was a good one. That was a good Star Wars movie. Is that?
Da Vinci Code was not a Star Wars
It
movie.
wasn't.
Yeah.
How many Star Wars movies are there now?
So I honestly,
30 or something?
it depends because do you count the Clone Wars animated movie? Do you count the holiday special? There's so many things you could count as being a Star Wars movie.
I think even though Disney's taking not such a big risk with these spin-offs, the holiday special was a big risk.
That was a risk that did not pay off.
No.
That was a risk that almost killed Star Wars.
Cry every time.
What do you like about Rogue One? Even though it's safe, it doesn't make it bad. I mean,
I don't think I liked anything about it except for the ending.
where everyone died.
Yes, I love that. And Darth Vader was like, I'm getting too old for this. And he was just like, bzz, 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 and everybody like, ah! And he was like, that's right, you scream. This makes my day. But the rest of the movie was just a snuff film. Everybody was like, that's right, that Gareth guy directed the Godzilla, and that was a snuff film. This guy just makes snuff films. Everybody's just gotta die.
I don't think that Quicksilver died in Godzilla. I honestly don't remember. I don't remember anything in that movie. But
Okay, well, in Rogue One, everybody, I mean,
Yeah.
they definitely, everybody
Yeah.
died, but I mean, not now, but
Darth Vader didn't
Bryan
die.
Cranston died in the first
Yeah.
30 minutes, and he was the one that was pulling in the cash, and everybody was like, I want a refund. I wanted to see Mr. White go against Godzilla, but no.
And then he did the same thing to Matt Mikkelsen in Rogue One.
I felt like he was kind of... Disney was like, hey, you want to do 2 movies? You want to do Star Wars and Marvel movie? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to make you really generic and, you're going nowhere in these movies. But you're pulling in some money for us, but, we don't care about you as an actor. Here's these really crappy roles. But in Doctor Strange, I thought it wasn't too bad. But in Rogue One, I was kind of disappointed. He's like, I want to see my baby girl. Is that her? And you're just like, what? Now in Rogue One, when I was in the theater, when Saul Guerrero died, this kid was bawling like crazy, and his mom had to, a little kid, and his mom had to take him out. And I'm assuming that's because he watched the Clone Wars show, or the Rebels. I don't remember which one.
He's in both.
He's in both. That's right. So she had to take him out because he died. But then he comes back, and enough time for everybody else to die. He's just like, quiet.
That kid just really likes Forrest Whitaker, probably.
Like
every other kid.
It could be.
Just loves Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, my girlfriend fell asleep for the end of that film, and it's on Netflix. We try to watch it every time. We get halfway through and she falls asleep, and I'm like, "Why are you torturing me? I don't like this film."
So you've had to watch Rogue One like 5 times or so, and she
Oh,
hasn't
I've
seen
only
it.
seen it through once, and then like the Darth Vader scene 12 times. But yeah,
What about Leia and Tarkin CGI?
that's pretty good.
Really? Not,
I mean, versus like what it could have been worse. That's all I have to say.
well,
It wasn't too bad, in my opinion.
could have been worse.
Yeah, could have been.
It's an interesting take on life. Could have been worse.
Could have been. Yes, that's you know could have been worse.
Speaking of things that could be worse, Marvel movies.
I'm sorry.
Do you like Marvel movies?
I love them.
Yeah.
That's my bread and butter. Yeah.
What
I
do you
can't
like
go to sleep without playing a Marvel movie. I'm so glad they keep making them. I'm just like, because, watching one to sleep with every night, it's a little too much, but then they keep batting. I'm like, I'll keep buying. I need something to sleep to.
That sounds like a medical condition you should probably see a doctor about. If
Probably.
I'm being honest.
Probably.
But,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean they're fun. Yeah, they're good, but they don't like tackle like real issues like the DC movies do. What's that laugh?
DC movies.
Yeah.
Maybe if we're talking about 90s Batman stuff, I don't know, maybe. But today, it's how depressing can we get? I mean, Wonder Woman, that was a great movie. I like that one. Put everything else is
No, Zack
garbage.
Snyder looks at the world as it is and puts superheroes in the world.
I'm sorry, Zack Snyder is garbage. Okay? No. Hang on. He can direct. Like, God, is he a great director? Those films look great. I love them. I'm like, wow, look at that. And then the characters start speaking. I'm gonna kill you. Martha. Martha. Like, the dude can't write. Okay? The dude can't write. I totally get it, though. But, no. Sometimes you gotta know your weakness. Okay? Every director today in Hollywood just wants to write. Like, you gotta know, hey, maybe I should bring in an actual writer. Those guys have professions. Everybody just wants to do it themselves. Now, I totally get it. Directors need to know every field, but they don't need to do everything. And the cuts, that's not gonna save the movie. Everybody's like, let me see the full cut. I don't know. I haven't seen the full cuts, but I think I get the gist of it.
You haven't even seen them. You haven't even seen the cuts. It's Zack Snyder's full vision. They cut out his stuff. DC Warner Bros. Didn't let him have his full vision. The guy, superheroes shouldn't be all jokey and colorful and whimsical like Marvel. Like, that's fun, but it's not serious film. Zack Snyder takes what Christopher Nolan started and perfects it. Superheroes, they would deal with serious stuff, man.
I don't know about that. Christopher Nolan, I think he went into the real, what you're saying, real life, and all that stuff. But Zack Snyder couldn't do it. And a big part of that is the writing. I just don't think that he takes too much charge in writing. He needs to back off.
Man, I just don't think you appreciate good film. That's what those movies are.
Good.
And how can you not like Ben Affleck as Batman? He brings so much humanity to the part.
He doesn't bring nothing to it. He might be a pretty good Bruce Wayne, but he's a strange Batman. He's got the nice butt chin for it.
I guess I just like to think about my movies, and not just turn my brain off for a Marvel movie.
Why don't turn my brain off? I'm sitting there the whole time watching them fight, and I'm like, that's some great fight moves. You see that left hook over there, and my girlfriend's like, oh, I was just watching. She just watches it. I'm in it for the action and the story. There's no. I don't want to watch a whole movie about two guys pissing at each other, being like, I'm gonna beat you up. No, I'm gonna beat you up.
Isn't that Civil War? It's just more than two guys. I think that's a lot of Avengers too.
No.
I think that's also a lot of Ragnarok. I think that's a lot of Marvel movies.
You know,
really.
I think that's just all movies. Huh. Everybody's just trying to beat each other up. Where's the love? No more love. So much hate. You know, when I watch the films, I'm always like, Empire's the bad guys. But when I play the video games, I always want to be the Empire.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you look at the original trilogy, which is really the only Star Wars you should probably be watching, especially New Hope, we have no reason to think that the Empire is bad just because they're called the Empire and they talk with British accents. As far as you look at that movie, the rebels are really just terrorists.
Huh.
They just show up and
You know
blow
what? Yeah, that completely makes sense. Because if you look at American history, here in America, we completely rewrote it, but here's how it actually went. The British sent over troops to fight the Spanish off from taking Canadian area and protecting the American colonies. So they taxed us to help pay for that, you know. And we were paying like 5 cents equivalent of today in tax to Britain. And then they maybe raised it to 13 cents. But over in Britain, citizens were paying maybe $3 in tax. And we freaked out. We're like, oh, they're taxing us. Oh, it's like 8 more cents. We ain't having that. You're a tyranny terrorist. This is America. And Britain was like, what are you doing? So I could see that. I could see, huh.
Well, I don't really know about all of that, but yeah. So I mean, and then if you add Rogue One in there, I mean the rebels on Jeddah were very terroristic. They just guerrilla warfare, showing up, blowing up stuff, and then you got they attack with teddy bears. Like that's evil stuff in Return of the Jedi. To use cute things to your advantage, like that's exploiting the natives. Like, the Empire was never on that planet before.
This breaks my heart. It's completely mind-blowing, eye-opening. Can't believe that. I looked up to Luke and Han. They were my best friends, you know? I can't believe they would do that.
It's okay. It's not that. I mean, they're still good guys. This is just a way to look at the movies. I mean,
yeah. It was just
they're not real people.
What?
They're not real.
What do you mean they're not real?
It's Star Wars is movies. I mean, I love them. They're great, but they're fictional. They're not your best friends. Do you have any real friends outside of the movies?
Well, when I grew up, my mama said, that's your dad, those are your friends, and your cousins and all stuff. I thought my family was pretty big, and never got to meet any of them. Huh.
I want to talk to your mom about that. That's like some pretty heavy stuff. Anyways, terrorists in Star Wars. Yeah, that's pretty heavy stuff as well. But really, I mean, yeah. So within the movies, it's weird that they use the Ewoks to fight the Empire. But really, they just came up with them to sell toys. It's really all it was.
Yeah.
That's how Lucas made all his money off Star Wars, was merchandise.
Yeah, that's how Marvel got Spider-Man back. They said, you guys can have all the revenue of the movie, but we're keeping the toy sales. And I was like, really? Is that much more? It's probably why the prequels are so strange.
Yeah.
Product placement for itself.
Yeah. He just kind of came up with a whole bunch of stuff that would make good toys. I mean, that's definitely what Jar Jar is. But, you know, it probably worked.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, Spaceballs called it out back in the 80s.
Definitely. And they made fun of it. Ah, man, I love that scene. It's like, come get Spaceballs merchandise. Spaceballs the cereal. Spaceballs the lunchbox. Spaceballs the flamethrower.
Yeah. Mel Brooks nailed it on the head. And, I mean, that's how it is. I mean, that's pretty much what the prequels were. And, I mean...
We still bought that stuff.
Yeah, so it's probably our fault. We bought it.
I have tons of Star Wars stuff. I can't help it.
That doesn't make it okay, though.
It doesn't.
Star Wars is
just
were serious movies. They're good. They're serious stuff, man. Like solid cinema. But then Ewoks, man, that was the downfall.
I have so much Ewok stuff too.
Like what?
Like, got this costume for my dog.
Oh.
I got like each Ewok and their like little scarves as like teddy bears and stuff. I got like Funko Pops, Ewoks. My bed sheets and pillow covers are Ewoks. I got a costume for my girlfriend dressed up as an Ewok.
Oh.
Not for Halloween. I mean it's for Halloween. It's for Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I also think that's the only reason he brought in Jango Fett too. Because like, why is Boba and Jango Fett's armor in different colors? Just so you could sell new toys, new spaceship. Like, why? What would cause Boba Fett's armor and the Slave One to change colors? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
I never thought of it like that. And I'm a big Jango Fett fan. Everybody's like, Boba Fett! And I'm like, whatever. Jango had 2 pistols. Did you not play Star Wars Bounty Hunter? And he was like, boo-doo-boo-doo-boo. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. I don't see Star Wars Bounty Hunter Boba Fett. They should do that. They should definitely do that.
I think that EA would probably just screw it up, though.
Damn it. But there's a rumor that their contract's about to go up, and Disney's like, you know what? We're probably going to share with some other companies because you guys are not good. That Rated M, though, that Bounty Hunter game. Did you ever hear about that? There's going to be a Rated M Star Wars Bounty Hunter game.
I did not. That would be pretty sweet.
They released like 8 minutes of it. I was like, this is going to be great. And then George Lucas was like, oh, Disney bought us, and they don't do stuff like that, so I'll scrap that game. And everybody's like, dude, what? That's not... What about the fans? I sold it for the fans. Did you? Did you really? You sure you just weren't lazy? And we're like, you know what? I don't want to make movies anymore. And I don't want to be... I mean, I'm glad that you sold it, but... Because it was just kind of sitting there.
Speaking of EA, Electronic Arts, they really jacked up Star Wars Battlefront.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Those original 2, man. Childhood. And I just keep playing them, you know?
Great replay value.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I did like that first reboot of Battlefront. It wasn't too bad. But definitely not enough content to be justifiable. And I think that's what... Just people were just expecting it to be a true sequel. And it really wasn't. And...
It felt like they couldn't decide what they wanted to make. It kind of just felt like, because it was made by EA and DICE, that it was just another Battlefield game, but with Star Wars characters. But then you didn't even get to blow crap up like you can in Battlefield. But then you didn't get like the huge maps and character stuff like Battlefront. So I don't really know what that game is supposed to be.
Cash grab. Cash grab.
Well, yeah. Other than that,
They just don't love it like when LucasArts made their games.
man, LucasArts, Lego Star Wars,
Ugh.
and there was a lot of those. And
Yeah, I personally like the second one the best. I had a lot of play value with that with my brother. He played that a lot.
maybe that's the best watch order. Just play Lego Star Wars.
Just play the damn
you get the
game.
entire story,
Yeah.
and it,
And extra. You get to map how you want the story to go. Han shot first? Don't think so. Because Obi-Wan shot first. Huh, Legos. Yeah.
I guess that's how you fix Star Wars. You just literally take out all the dialogue.
Yeah.
'Cause that's those don't have any dialogue at all.
Huh. Maybe
That's how you do it,
Yeah, Zack Snyder should do that. He should take out all of that.
man. Don't talk about Star Wars.
Right.
Don't bring Zack Snyder into this.
I really like was probably the last projects that LucasArts did was Force Unleashed games.
Dope.
Those are fun, but I'm glad it's not canon.
Kind of breaks canon.
It's like they're doing anime stuff of like, ha! And it was like, that's fun and cool, but they don't do that in the movie.
It was funny how the thing that made me want to play the game was probably the most frustrating thing about it, because the trailer sold Starkiller pulling down the Star Destroyer, and it took me so long to get through that segment. I could
Ugh.
not figure it out.
There's two versions of that. There's the PlayStation 2 Wii version, and then there's PS3, Xbox 360 version.
Mm.
When you get to that point on the 360 PS3 version, it's so hard because it's just like, yeah, I can do this, and then they're like, there's the TIE fighters coming at you, and you're like, okay, and then they just like, and you're like, wait a minute, and then the ship goes back up, and you're like, damn,
Yeah.
it's just like 12 hours. It took me 12 hours. I don't know about everybody else.
I also had this really great Star Wars math game that I played on my computer when I was like in 3rd grade.
Huh.
I was playing Star Wars and learning about math. I don't know if I could be happier than that.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Pretty
I don't think I've ever played it. Is it Windows 95 or?
I think it was Vista, but
I don't have Vista. I have 795.
and then you also do they make like the 90s games, LucasArts, like Pod Racer on the 64, Nintendo 64?
I believe they did, yeah.
It's pretty great. Good
Even
stuff.
if they didn't, I'm sure they slapped their name on it. 'Cause they're like, we should probably get that LucasArts really out there. Like, hey George, we're gonna make Monkey Island Adventure, and he's like, okay. Can we also do Star Wars? I like that money. And you're like, okay. So probably why
then-
there's a lot of.
they also made a game. LucasArts made a game. I don't remember what it was called. I want to say Fracture, maybe, where like you got guns
yeah.
that like made the ground go up or the ground go down, like grenades. Like that was the thing. It wasn't very fun, but it was a cool idea.
I know. I was like, I want this game, and then I was like, this game sucks. Why would you do this? What'd you do? And I think they got the same actor that played Starkiller
Oh.
in Force Unleashed, which is kind of like, okay, you gonna not do that, or you're gonna do that? Okay. Well, I'm George Lucas, and I don't like spending money. Okay. Whatever, dude.
I also really, really like the Jedi Knight series.
Ugh.
Play as I can't remember the character's name though. That's horrible. But
Raven? No, that Darth Raven.
no, that's that. Oh man, Knights of the Republic too, man.
Oh, sorry. Which one were you saying?
The Jedi Knight.
Jedi Knight.
series.
Sorry.
The Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast,
Sorry.
and
I got it.
Jedi Academy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean,
It was a great role playing game.
was LucasArts better at making Star Wars stuff than George Lucas? I think they were.
Definitely, for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you look at the prequels. It's right there. He's like, I'm going to do this myself. And everybody was like, George, maybe you shouldn't. The first rough cut of episode 1, he watched it, and the editor was like, dude, this film's so confusing. He's like, whatever. And he watched it and he was so pissed off. He's like, nothing makes sense. Why does this not make any sense? And it's like, because you're going from the Gungans to the Jedi's fighting to Anakin, who's 4 in space, blowing up ship. He's like, do a barrel roll, boo, 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 boo. And you're like, what the hell am I watching? But the editor, I gotta give him credit for Phantom Menace. He made it pull off decently. It's like better than the second one. Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. You know, as much as people really like Boba Fett, and he is a cool-looking guy, if you look at just the movies, he's kind of a doofus.
Definitely overrated.
I mean, especially special edition version of Return of the Jedi, which is supposed to be Lucas's real vision. He like cut in a whole bunch of like little snippets of Boba in Jabba's palace to make him more present, but that just makes it a bunch of build-up. You take his very ominous presence in Empire, and then random snippets of him at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, and then he dies. Just he gets knocked into a big anus in the desert. Not exactly someone I'd want to be my favorite Star Wars character, personally.
I mean, I thought his father. I mean, I get that he is his father. He's a clone of his father, or of himself. I don't know how that works. I don't know how any of this works. Whatever. I personally always like Jango Fett better, but anytime I say that, everybody's like, "Get the hell out of here! You don't belong here." And I'm like, "Wait, I can't have my own opinion." And they're like, "No," because everybody's just got a hard on for Boba, and I'm like, but Jango was like super professional. He's like, "Hi, I'm a cowboy, and I'm also named after Django, the TV series." And the video game was like super sweet. He was like, "Yeah," and you're like, and he was all like, "That was a bug." He didn't do that. But
Yeah, and I think that, well, a lot of people don't know, is that Boba Fett was actually introduced in the Christmas special, holiday special.
that's right. I don't think I got that far into that.
So, like, how good can a character really be if their origins are rooted in the holiday special?
True. Wasn't he like pink or something?
He was different colors. It was like, yeah, it was weird.
Pink
He was
or white?
animated. Yeah.
He was animated.
Yeah, there's like this weird bit where Chewie's son watches a cartoon or it's like a video game or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that's where they introduced Boba Fett.
Okay. I probably just didn't recognize him, to be honest. So now there's 3 colors, more money. Got a cool voice.
And then Lucas changed it.
Really?
The newer versions of the original trilogy, they redubbed Boba with the actor that plays Jango.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because, I mean, like, yes, canonically, that makes sense because he's a clone.
Right.
But
I bet he did that and then released it. And it was like, okay, now let's add Tauntauns. At Jabba's palace? Yes. Okay. It's your... You just released Tauntaun for... Jeez.
Tauntaun edition.
Replace all actors with Tauntauns. Man. It's like, okay. I mean, this is entertaining, but... What?
Man, speaking of the special editions, those things, abomination. Just like Lucas going in and changing things and adding things. Like he could have gone farther because there's a lot of deleted scenes from New Hope and Empire that are terrible. Like they were cut out for a reason. He didn't add all of them in, but like. Especially like someone like me that knows about movies, watching these movies, like the things that are CGI just stick out so poorly because they didn't have that when they made the original movies. So to see things that were literally impossible at the time thrown in, like there is good changes. Like they like there's like parts in the throne room where they were like mannequins, like cutouts or something, and they replaced them with like digital copies of the other rebels, and it looks a lot better. Like little like nuanced changes like that no one would ever notice. Fine, but like changing Han to move and like dodge the bullet, like making him like they had to adding the whole Jabba the Hutt scene
Jabba the Hutt.
where and it was like they started with a guy, so they have to add in a terrible CGI Jabba the Hutt. He walks behind Jabba the Hutt, and he has to step over the tail. So there's this weird like blurry move. Oh man,
Huh? Didn't know that.
yeah, it's just a lot of weird stuff. And unfortunately, people our age had to grow up with those. We didn't grow up with the original versions. We had to grow up with altered versions, so we only
That's right.
know changed editions.
Until you do the research.
Yeah.
I think the most justifiable change was Empire Strikes Back when they originally just had a monkey wear some mask for the Emperor.
Oh yeah,
So
that
I'm
is a
glad
good
they
change.
went back and actually
Yeah.
added
Original Emperor was horrifying,
them.
to say the least. That was pretty bad.
Hi, I'm George Lucas, and I think we should take this monkey, my monkey Bobo, and let's put a mask on him. He'll be the Emperor. You want a monkey with a mask to be the Emperor of the galaxy? Yeah. Okay, George.
You know, that was literally what he wanted to do with Yoda too. He wanted
monkey?
Yoda to be a trained monkey with a mask, and thankfully they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to do that." And we got the perfect Yoda that we got, which then he turned around and CGI'd Yoda and ruined it.
Monster.
But originally, someone was smart enough to tell him no. Though I would kind of like to see like test footage of that, like what a trained monkey with a mask would have looked like for Yoda, just like for the oddity of it. But
Right, but that would have been a disaster, like his prequels. That's what he did with the prequels. He's like, let me take the original trilogy and put mask on them. They're gonna be monkeys and masks. And he was like, wait, what are you talking about? Don't do that. Remember when they said don't do that for Yoda? That means don't do that for anything else. Also, did like, oh man. Holiday special.
yeah, that thing, so interesting, like in a horrifying way. But it's honestly better to not expose yourself to it and just like watch people on the internet review it.
Definitely.
You got Nostalgia Critic did a great job, Doug Walker and John Tron. Both guys who turned out to be kind of terrible people, but their videos are really good.
True.
It's just way better to like that's a coping mechanism, humor. So you deal with just
That's how I wish I would have been introduced to it, but I was like, I'm gonna watch this.
oh
I got 40 minutes in, and I couldn't take it. It was like I tied myself down to a chair. It was like torturing myself.
oh
I did it because I had watched all 6 movies right before The Force Awakens came out. I was like, I don't want more Star Wars, and then I was like, does it get better? Is it gonna get better? It didn't. But I don't know anybody that I've talked to who's actually seen the full thing start to finish. Everybody's just like, I can't do it. They might have seen like it in clips. But
Yeah.
I don't. It's like, what is this? And Luke in that movie, like, was that Mark Hamill? I don't think so.
or was it a monkey with a mask?
Oh my god. It had to have been. Because you look at him and you're like, that's not Mark Hamill. But if you put a Mark Hamill mask on a monkey, we just blew this wide open. Oh my god. I can't believe that.
I don't know how anyone justifies having the majority of a thing be Wookiees speaking without any humans to translate or subtitles.
George Lucas has some weird fetishes. Like, what is that? I want everybody to watch this and not understand what is going on. They get their own interpretation. What? Huh?
Like theoretically, that could be an interesting film exercise to like tell a story visually, but I don't think that's what they were going for.
David Lynch can do that pretty well. Like he's like you're like, what the hell is going on? But once you finish it, you're like, oh, okay, I can put some things together. But when you're watching the holiday special, you're like, I can't put this. What are you thinking? Like, everything's just a monkey in a mask. And George is like, this is just for me. It's like, okay.
And he actually hates it, though. That's how you know it's bad. He will not admit that anything else he's ever done is bad, but he
hates his
he
own
knows
porn.
that the holiday special.
He hates his own porn.
He's there's a lot of regret there.
Speaking about all that, pretty sure George Lucas forced Carrie Fisher to have sex with him. In an interview, he's like, okay, guys, I know that this is an all sausage fest film, and everybody's white, but I want a 19-year-old to play Princess Leia, because I want women to be powerful in politics. And you're like, no, I think there's something else going on there. No. He's like, no, she gotta be 19. 19. And you're like, so, okay, hi, would you like to be in the movie? I'm Carrie. Like, if it wasn't Carrie Fisher, I think that person would have probably blown their brains out. But no, did you know that he had no? He told her she couldn't wear a bra.
Why?
Because he said there's no underwear in space.
That's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, but I guess it kind of played to her advantage because, well, no, definitely wasn't any advantage for her. No. The graph team actually had to tape her down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Because
it.
her boobs were jiggling so much when she would run around. And George was like, okay, I know I enjoy that. We gotta do something about that. It's a kid's movie. So she came back very moody and upset, and Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford are like, what's wrong? And she's like, and it's just like her breasts are taped down. It's pretty funny, but very Carrie Fisher. Very Carrie Fisher.
What are y'all up to?
We are waiting for the newest Star Wars movie to come out on Blu-ray in that red box.
Is that the one with the little laser lights, laser sabers?
To grossly oversimplify it, yes.
So you're just gonna sit here all day, just sitting around waiting?
Sure.
Listen, y'all the reason we need a walk. I'm out.
Ow, good man, you know a tree.
Have you read this theory online that Jar Jar Binks was supposedly the Sith Lord behind everything?
Theory. I don't know about no theory, because that's what George Lucas had intended.
That's ridiculous. I think, first off, that's giving George Lucas way too much credit. I don't think he thought about the story that much.
True.
And secondly, have you watched Phantom Menace? There's no way.
Like, once. Well, here's a theory, and here's what he said. Or I read online that he said that, but I couldn't actually find like a good enough source that was like this credible. Here it is. Jar Jar was like Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back. Okay. Yoda pretended to be stupid, playable. Ha 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 ha! I'm not the master. Ha ha ha! And it was a good amount of time to do that, and he got that inspiration from Japanese films. But the way he went over the top, Phantom Menace, but he was trying to play Jar Jar as the stupid character who's gonna be in Attack of the Clones, revealed at the end as Darth Jar Jar. But it blew up in his face, and everybody was like, "What the hell's a Jar Jar?" And he was like, "Oh, it's this cool character, sells toys." I'm like, I'm not buying that for my kid. So. But so he ended up going with Count Dooku, and that's why I mean that proves right there, because if Count Dooku was just kind of like thrown in. You're like, what? So, I don't think it was a theory. I think it's truth.
It's kind of all of Attack of the Clones, though, isn't it? Just kind of stuff thrown in. I
Yeah.
don't think he had much planned out. Also, I mean, everything Jar Jar does successfully in Phantom Menace is absolutely by mistake. And, like, and honestly, I don't think a Sith Lord would stoop to the point where he steps in poop. Like, that's a thing Jar Jar does. And I just can't imagine any other Sith Lord character doing that. It just doesn't seem plausible to me. And, you know, it just... And that is an elaborate backstory for him to live his entire life as a doofus, because he's a doofus before the movie starts, because he got banished for being clumsy. That's a lot of... That's dedication. And, I mean, yes, Palpatine's doing something similar, but... It's a very
He
regal,
wasn't stepping
important
in
position.
poop. He wasn't. Even though I can imagine him and Darth Vader, I'm like, that's very funny. But then I imagine Darth Vader slaughtering the animal, and I'm like, chill out, dude. Here's a chill pill. And he kills me, and I'm like, well, am I dead now? Or...
I don't know where you've gone.
I don't know where I went either. Where am I? Alright, we're waiting for the red box
Yeah.
thingy.
Been here for a whole day now. This is...
Yeah, they should. I thought they said on the Facebook page the movie's coming out on Redbox the 29th.
I don't even know what day is it.
Yeah, I don't either. I work from home, so I sell Funkos.
It's the 19th.
Oh,
I think we may have messed up.
well then.
Can't move now, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's no good pops coming out, so I'll probably just gonna sit here. I mean, if you're gonna sit here, I'll probably, yeah, I'm gonna sit here. Want pizza or?
And it's funny because a lot of people our age are turning around and saying that they really like the prequels, but I think that's just been nostalgia, really. Which is a big problem right now. You know, that's really what, like, Jurassic World and Ready Player One and the Stranger Things and even Force Awakens. It's kind of relying on nostalgia very heavily.
I think that, you know, has a lot to do with everybody. Huh, looks like it's gonna rain. I think that has a lot to do with everybody in their own personal lives in real life. It's just like, hey, life's bad right now, but remember the good times? Like, yeah. And then you just start spinning off, and it's like, we should make that, remake that, let's do that for our movie. And then it's like, what are you doing? It's like when Rocky won the Oscar for Best Picture of the Year, when obviously Taxi was way better of a movie and should have won, but Rocky was what people needed at the time. They needed a good lift me up film, not Crazy Murderer.
Oh, yeah. But do we really need, like, more James Bond and more Jurassic Park? I don't think that's what we need. I would say we need more Star Wars. We always need more Star Wars. Star Wars is special, but
yeah, obviously.
like, we don't need RoboCop. Like, RoboCop's great, but we don't need another one. We don't
Yeah,
need
the old one's still there.
Yeah.
Go watch it. Come on.
even like Jumanji.
I mean, to a certain extent, it's like, is it really hurting anything? But it is, because nobody's coming up with anything new.
Mhm.
Nobody's like, hey, we're past 2000 something. We should focus on the modern times. But then people are like, oh, remember in the 80s when it was like a disco ball? Like, oh, yeah, that was good. We should put that in our movie. And it's like, I thought this was a modern movie. I mean, I know disco balls still exist and stuff, but like, why are you all dressed like that? It's not the 80s.
It's not the 80s.
It's not.
I wish it was, though. I guess that's the problem. People wish it really was the 80s.
You just make time travel. Everybody's just gonna travel back in time and not actually live in the present. It's like, okay, might as well just end everything. Put your mind in a computer. What are you doing? We don't need to do anything. I mean, what we're doing is, this is modern. This is modern time. We are waiting here. It's perfect. And, it's been like 3 hours since we ordered pizza.
How many's coming?
I don't know either. I told him the red box at whatever place. So he's probably going to each one in town. So I think he might be coming. He might be coming. Should I order another one?
Probably a good idea.
Probably should order another one.
Speaking of Force Awakens, a lot of people really, really want Rey and Kylo to hook up.
What?
Like,
Sorry, what was that?
people really want Rey and Kylo Ren to hook up. And I just don't think love works in Star Wars very well.
Oh, man. Watch them be brother and sister. I'm telling you, man. They're gonna be brother and sister. That's gross. But I agree. There's no love doesn't work in Star Wars. It's like, how do people get born? Is everybody clones? So Geonosians just like cloning everybody? Maybe that's why the Jedi are like, no love for you, no love for anybody in the Jedi Order. Hey, quit making out. That you can't do that. No, you make kids. Oh, great. Now they're gonna spawn something worse. Look what you did there, idiot boy. That's why you're on this council, but you're not Grand Master.
Do you think George Lucas knows how babies are made? I get the feeling.
He knows babies are made by putting a mask on a monkey. That's how he knows it. That's how he knows it.
Okay.
You said Batman against me. No, it's not. The Jedi are evil in my view.
It's pretty good Hayden Christensen impression. That's it right there.
I do that impression all the time. I love it. I'm always yelling, "You said Batman against me," and everybody's like, "What the hell?" It's fun.
And as ridiculous as he made his points, Anakin, he was kind of right. The Jedi kind of sucked in the prequels.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they kidnapped, not kidnapped, but they took children away to train them from such a young age and forced them to suppress all emotions. And
That's child abuse.
that's pretty horrible.
We're calling the Galactic Federal Child Care Foster. Wait, what?
It's an intense thing to do, and then give them, they gave them lightsabers at a young age in Attack of the Clones.
I'd be
That's
smacking
dangerous.
everybody. I'd be like, "Hey, what's up, Jimmy?" And then, yeah, he'd be dead probably.
That's I don't know. I wouldn't trust most people with a lightsaber, much less a child.
For sure. Yeah.
But I just I think that's why people got pissed off at Last Jedi, because people want to think of the Jedi as the good guys, and they don't like their views to be mixed up. And so Last Jedi pretty much calls out the Jedi for their crap.
For being jerks to children. Why would you like the Jedi for being jerks to children? Nobody likes anybody who's a jerk to a child.
And then there's some, weird political stuff in the new movies, the sequel trilogy. The First Order are pretty much neo-Nazis. The alt-right.
Yeah, it's like the Empire was like, "Hey, we're actual Nazis," and then here comes First Order, and neo-Nazis, and you're like, I can see that. It's a weird story, though. General Hux and his father had all of his money, and they're like, we're the Empire now! And you're like, what? You can't just do that. And everybody in the galaxy was like, okay, whatever, but then Princess Leia and the Resistance were like, oh, this is serious. You can't just let them do that. And then that's how that happened. And then General Hux killed his dad. This was in one of the books. I don't know if you got to read that.
No.
It's a lot of good backstory, and then now he's like, they have Supreme Leader Snoke, and I'm like, wait a minute, how'd this happen? It's confusing.
So if that's the First Order, it's pretty much the two main guys, Hux and Kylo, are pretty much just whiny, scrawny white guys.
Privileged white boys.
Isn't that also Star Wars fans?
My God, you're right.
It's kind of a fair point, though. Star Wars fans kind of do suck a lot of the times.
Yeah. Especially as a whole. Even Mark Hamill's like, I'm done with you guys. He's like, I'm putting Star Wars behind me. And I was like, but you're Luke. And he's like, yeah, but you guys are whiny butts. And you're like, that's that other guy. And he's like, no, it's you too. And you're like, have to really look deep within yourself and realize, yeah, we suck. We're the worst fan base now.
Yeah, it's really gotten to the point where Star Wars fans, like, they even want to like start petitions to get movies taken out of canon. They didn't even do that for the prequels. They want to do it for Last Jedi just because,
Yeah.
like, that's and
What's wrong with these times?
they don't like having a female lead. They don't like having a black lead.
I know. I was like, I saw no problem with that. I was like, okay, whatever. But it broke my heart. I talked to one of my African American friends, and I was like, isn't this cool? Look at this. I showed him the trailer for Force Awakens, and he's like, that's weird. Why is the main character a black guy? And I was like, what? We're just the weirdest fans.
Yeah,
We're just like
but then I mean,
sexist jerks.
we're sitting out here for a couple days waiting for DVD
yeah.
release or Blu-ray release just because it has a couple extra minutes, seconds.
I mean, you know. Hey! Redbox doesn't take cash! Come back here and bring that credit card!